저도 떨리긴 하지만 어쨌든 좋은 시간, 좋은 배움의 시간, 그리고 상호 힘준 여성 인권과 사회 정의 운동가로 활동하셨습니다. 코드 핑크를 공동으로 설립하셨고요. 그리고 제약과의 상호를 지금 짧은 기간 안에 경험해 보신 분들이어서 단체를
세계 기지가 있는 각 지역의 여성들이 다 연대하는 문제를
moved from what I said. It's use your imagination, use your creativity of what your future for your little children can be, as opposed to war and destruction.
This is the first thing that I have to say. We have to work against armamentism, militarism.
Another issue we've been pushing is the end of the Israeli occupation of the West Bank and its brutal siege of Gaza. Every year, the United States government sends $3 billion in military aid to Israel to occupy, brutalize, imprison, and humiliate Palestinian people.
드시게 되었습니다. 오후에는 어제는 정말 감격적인 DMZ에서 걸어서 오시는 그 분들과 함께 만나서 저희가 행사를 하고 이렇게.
These women are used perfectly as a propaganda tool by the regime. That's the big beneficial for North Korean regime, but not for the ordinary people. I was grew up there for 17 years. We know how to treat foreigners, some of who's visiting North Korea. Over the years, we saw tons of foreigners visiting North Korea during Kim Il-sung period, Kim Jong-il period, and then the North Korean government released a big paper for all of the country, to the schools, to the factories, companies, to let North Korean citizens be prepared already. In case whenever you meet the foreigners in the street, what you need to give them an answer, perfect answer. So they made questions by themselves and they made answer by themselves. So we need to memorize those things. So this time these women, what they saw or what they hear from North Korea is not real. That's all perfectly, set by the North Korean regime. It's fake. So they believe this time, we have something in deeply interaction with the North Korean woman or something. They don't know the reality inside North Korea. They don't know what North Korean women's thinking about because they're already chosen by the government, and the privileged woman, they already practiced for this meeting. Yeah, so this is a perfect propaganda tool. And then this time North Korean people would think, wow, Kim Jong-un is great again. That's why these women just took the risk by visiting North Korea through the DMZ. They are praising our government, and they wanted to make a unification. The human rights issues in North Korea is so horrible, especially in the political prison camp, labor camps, everywhere. Before talk about peace treaty, we need to resolve the fundamental issues, which is human rights as a human being.
맥가의 선생님의 이야기를 들으면서 상당히 감동을 받았습니다. 그리고 이렇게 세계적으로 유명하신 노벨 평화상 수상자들께서 한반도의 분단에 대해서 또 이 한반도의 평화에 대해서 그렇게 노력해 주시니까 너무 감사합니다. 좀 전에 스파이너 선생님께 이 성화를 전달해 주셨습니다. 저는 18년 전에 탈북을 했고 저는 그때 남편을 북한에 두고 아들 여러분들과 함께 DMZ를 넘어서 북한에 있는 우리의 가족들에게 직접 사를 전달할 수 있도록 여러분들이 도와주셨으면 좋겠습니다. 그리고 한 가지 더 보탠다면 아까 여기에서 토론을 들으니까 북한의 핵 문제에 대해서 말씀하셨는데
감사합니다.
예,
아까 언니의 이야기
들었습니다.
너무 감동받았어요. 예, 김하고 선생님, 예, 맥가요 선생님, 예.
First, I want to say to you, as a global citizen, we apologize for the suffering of you, your people, and the family. And I want to also say to you that the 30 women on this delegation are not enemies of people in the North or those who have been able to leave the North. I also want to say to you that this journey that we took is because we've been able to hear from people like yourself about the sufferings of the people of North Korea. We did not promise the world that we will go there and end, but this is the journey that we are committed to continuing. We also want to say to you that in many places around the world where we've made our voices heard, it didn't take one day. Many years ago, Aung San Suu Kyi was in prison. It was Marie, Jody, Shireen, and everyone who was working for her release. Today she's out. One day, the people of North Korea will be able to be free and see their families, and this is the beginning of that journey. But I just want to say to you, you are our sister. We love you, and we will continue to work for the peace of North Korea and the reunification of both Korea.
정리해서 마지막으로
So we sang crossing the
Save my family, North Korean people, my family. 이분들이야 뭘 아시겠어요. 우리가 이 한반도에서 우리가 이제 북한을 살아왔고 한국에 와 살면서 뭐가 잘못돼서 한반도의 평화가 이루어지지 않고 있는지 우리가 가장 잘 아는 거 아니겠어요? 네. 그래서 우리는 이분들이 오시는 것을 이런 행사라기보다는 우리가 한국에서 이렇게 모여서 우리 탈북자들을 데리고 함께 DMZ를 넘어서 평양으로 가서 북한에 있는 사람들에게 정말 자유가 뭔지, 진짜 평화가 이루어지기 위해서는 우리가 뭐를 양보하고 무엇을 얻어내야 되는지 이런 것들을 얘기해야 된다는 거죠. 근데 이번에 그게 빠졌어요. 네. 이번에는 그게 빠졌어요. 없었잖아요. 그냥 뭐 평화협정을 체결하겠다. 근데 평화협정을 체결하겠다는 거는 저 안 맞는 거예요. 왜 그러냐면 우리나라 지금 정전 상태잖아요. 전쟁이 중 가운데 그냥 쉬고 있는 거예요. 휴전 상태. 그런데 이 휴전 상태가 그냥 평화협정으로 바뀐다 그래서 그게 되는 게 아니라 평화협정으로 바뀌게 되면 북한은 핵을 갖고 있는데 우리 한국에서는 주한미군이 철수해야 되잖아요. 그건 한반도에 또 다른 어떤 김정은의 군사적 위협으로 작용할 수 있다는 거죠. 실질적으로 김정은이가 핵을 포기하고 미사일 발사를 포기하고 북한에서 공개 처형을 포기하고 북한 주민들을 굶겨 죽이는 일을 하지 않으면 우리가 왔다 갔다 못할 일이 아무것도 없는 거예요. 네. 그래서 우리는 그런 것들을 하기 위해서 함께 노력을 했으면 좋겠다. 저는 그런 마음을 가지고 이분들에게 그걸 제안하러 온 거예요. 근데 여기 들어오자마자 너무 나를 막 압박을 하고 막 그러니까 나는 너무 압박을 받는 게 평화를 배우러 왔는데 평화가 아니라 나를 막 너무 고통스럽게 하니까 나는 빨리 나가고 싶었어요. 그리고 편지를 전달해야 되는데 전달할 길이 없으니까 제가 기자님들이 계실 때 일어나지 않으면 나는 발언 기회도 얻지 못하겠다. 그런 생각 때문에 수많은 사람들이 나를 막 욕할 거 알았지만 제가 그렇게 할 수밖에 없었어요. 이해해 주세요. 죄송합니다.
어떻게 가능하게 할 수 있는지는 말해주세요.
우리가 제안하는 여기 한국에 있는 가족들이 자기 가족들에게 자기 아들, 딸 있잖아요. 우리 남편 있잖아요. 아들, 딸들에게 쌀도 전해주고 그렇잖아요. 가족을 만날 수 있고 그렇게 하면 통일이 되는 거죠. 그게 통일이에요. 그리고 북한 주민들에게 자유가 주어지면 통일이 되는 거죠. 이게 뭐 미국 때문에 안 된다, 중국 때문에 안 된다. 거짓말이에요. 때문에 안 되는 거 아니에요. 우리의 의지가 없어서 안 되는 거예요. 이 한국에 북한의 김정은 정권을 편드는 사람이 너무 많기 때문에 안 되는 거예요.
그런 분들이 많은데 그러면 어느 식으로 그러면은 이분들 이런 심포지엄에서
이런 분들이 그거를 알기 위해 노력을 해야 되는데 노력을 안 해요. 그러면 속상해요. 네, 그래서 우리가 자꾸만 이렇게 얘기를 하는데 이게 갈등으로 바뀌어서 정말 속상한 거예요. 여기도 회의 사람들이 들어오려고 그러는데 못 들어오게 하고 설사 분쟁이 있고 어떤 갈등이 생기더라도 이렇게 다 모여가지고 그런 모든 것들을 다 드러내고 토론할 때 평화가 되는 거거든요. 이해하고 평화라고 뭐예요? 내 주장만 하면 평화가 안 돼요. 이 사람의 주장도 받아들여보고 그래 내가 요건 좀 양보해야 되겠다. 그래 평화가 되는 거잖아요. 근데 자기네 주장이 좀 안 맞다고 우리를 막 안 들여보내고 막 잡고 막 목말하려고 이러면 평화가 안 되는 거죠.
Because I was so convinced it would spread into World War II, my childhood, and there were beginning to be submarines lying off the coast of my country. Since coming back from our walk, I have many feelings I have not sorted out yet, but here is my main feeling. I feel as if I have just come from visiting a kind, hardworking, and thoughtful family who are doing their best to survive under a controlling, totalitarian head of household. A man who, like some in the home, is addicted to control. They need proof of a humane alternative.
What do you think the next stage is now?
We need to think very carefully what the next stage is, and I am not the decision maker. This is very much a group, and also those of us from other countries are in support of the women and men as well from both North and South Korea who are trying to strive for reunification. But I do think, I hope and believe that we've served to remind a pretty big number of people that this division still exists, that it's the oldest division left over from World War II and the Cold War.
North Korean media has been publishing some terrible sexist invective towards President Park, which is bad even for them. They have a pretty poor track record. But I'm wondering what that says about, what do you think that says about Pyongyang's sensitivity towards your message here?
No, well, you must understand, our entire reason for being was to talk to individual citizens. We did absolutely nothing that was official on purpose. Okay. We didn't even visit the president's statue, which everyone does. We are trying to establish communication that is as non-governmental as possible in order to build a human bridge that transforms the government policy.
Were they randomly chosen, or were they chosen for you by the government?
I'm sure that the women's organization there has to have official approval, but that does not mean that when you sit in a circle and tell your life stories to each other, that you cannot come to understand each other, and I believe we did. It seems odd to me that the South Korean media, which apparently doesn't trust understandably, the accuracy of the North Korean media, still believed a quote attributed to Christine Han, which she never said. If anyone who's been to North Korea knows that every building and sign and everything is about a tribute to our great leader. And they put that in an article about her, but she did not say that. Yes, but you have to engage the patriarchy. The idea of masculine, feminine, dictating, subordinate, all of that is what normalizes every other kind of power relationship. And that somewhat shared experience is what allows us to talk to women there and begin to build a foundation of understanding. So, I think we understand family violence, in which there is a male patriarch who becomes addicted. He didn't probably invent patriarchy, but he's become addicted to control. We understand that, and when we look at that at a national level, we also can understand it and help to create policy that doesn't prove what the patriarch is saying, which is that out there you have to obey me because out there it's much worse, right? But shows that there are alternatives and we can make human connection. Well, it's true here. It's true. The simple answer is however we can. Each of us has access to a different way of challenging this kind of hierarchical view of life. and we each of us is obligated to do whatever we can.
Okay. One last question. Today, 60 Minutes reporter got back from North Korea, and he said that the children there, he was surprised to see the children, school kids, have to go and learn how to operate machine guns and throw grenades and things like that. What do you think that says about the peaceful Pyongyang's sort of desire for peaceful unification? That it is even willing to have child soldiers if it needed to?
I have no idea. I am not saying that the officials in North Korea are not dedicated either to fear or dominance, or some combination of the two. But what is clear is that the majority of the people in public opinion polls here, and to the extent that we can know majority opinion there, support reunification. So, children learning machine guns is exactly the problem. So, to do that gives him, the dictator, an excuse for being a dictator.
So you suggest, except for things like weapons, you suggest sanctions off of other products?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on those products, but I think there's a sort of common sense about what should be sanctioned.
Well, certainly it achieved the goals of bringing more attention to the issue, and that is one of our main goals. For some of us, we haven't been working on this issue, and we've met people that have really touched our hearts and feel more compelled when we go back home to be pushing this issue. In the United States, it's not very known about the unresolved war in the Korean Peninsula. So I think some of us have been very inspired by this, and certainly we've gotten more media attention to this issue than there's been in a long time. We've been working for diplomatic solutions to end military conflict since the time we started Code Pink 13 years ago. We're very much involved in pressing for nuclear talks with Iran. We've been working for resolving the issues of U.S. hostilities with Cuba for over 50 years, and we're excited about the normalization there. And we feel like this would be one more effort for President Obama to take on before his term is over, to have 3 countries that he has worked on to try to find resolutions to conflicts.
When you were in Pyongyang, the women that you spoke to, were they free to interact with you without repercussion or fear?
Well, certainly it's a society where people live in a lot of fear. A lot of the interactions were on a more superficial level. We talked about things like our families. We talked about things like what we like to eat, things that were important to us in terms of home life. We tried not to broach sensitive political issues because we didn't want to get them in trouble.
But unification and the peace treaty are both very political issues.
Yeah, I would say we tried not to broach issues that would get them in trouble in terms of questions they might have about their own government. But certainly we felt that they had a longing for reunification, and that this is an issue on both sides.
Well, there were lots of ideas that were generated, but one is I would like to have the American women organize a congressional briefing in Washington, D.C. based on the trip, and to share with U.S. policymakers some of our impressions on the trip to North Korea, and also in our conversations with South Korean women about ways that we can shift U.S. policy that might promote peace on the Korean Peninsula.
Okay, so what do you think the next step is towards unification?
Well, I think that's like a very big question, and I only have a few minutes. Well, I would say that our focus when we set out to do this peace walk was to transform the armistice agreement into a permanent peace treaty. And obviously, it's been 62 years since that ceasefire agreement was signed. So we have quite a bit of work to do to shift that. But I think that it's a lot about changing public perception and providing a more empathetic understanding of the conflict in Korea, how it's impacted, as we heard today in the panel, the ways in which it impacts women on the Korean Peninsula, in South Korea, in Okinawa, in the Philippines, but also, as we heard, in North Korea, the impact of sanctions. There are many manifestations of the unresolved Korean War. So I think if we can kind of collect all of that, maybe we'll produce a report. Okay. And, but yeah, that is our focus. We want to try to continue to ensure that women's voices and leadership is involved. And I think, this is just the first step.
Okay, on sanctions, I'm curious. The sanctions, I've read over the sanctions documents, and they don't touch any common goods. The food, consumer goods, they don't actually touch any of those things. So how would removing sanctions on, say, weapons and whatnot, how would that affect North Korean women in any way?
Well, we visited a maternity hospital in Pyongyang, and they told us that, the doctors told us that there was some equipment that they were not able to access because they were considered dual-use items. And so, when I was in Pyongyang, I met with some of the UN, humanitarian agencies that were operating in North Korea, and basically it happened to coincide with John Kerry's visit to South Korea, where he announced that there would be further sanctions. And, without naming names, they basically said that we are all in agreement that these sanctions are harming ordinary people. So, it's
but
whether...
there's no food sanctions against ordinary people. You can import as much food as you want.
It's about technology. I'm not just saying it's about development. It's about access to certain medications. It's about items that are considered dual use.
It was beautiful to walk down the streets with thousands and thousands of North Korean women lining the streets singing Free Korea in their beautiful Korean costumes. It was sad to come after 4 days to the demilitarized zone and to look into the eyes of particularly young.
Well, for us in Northern Ireland, our focus was peace through dialogue.
Right.
So we spoke to everyone.
Right.
We excluded no one. One of the policies was all-inclusive, unconditional talks, in order that we could begin to take our people out of war and violence and into peace. So I would think that, difficult as it is to have dialogue and engagement, which is the only way to solve conflict, it's a difficult task, but I do think that both people and leadership have to have the courage to take risks for peace.
But in this case, we're not actually able to dialogue with the people of North Korea because they're not allowed to speak to political subjects or to outsiders. How do we engage them?
You try as many channels as you can to build the links between the people. And that's on people-to-people dialogue. It's on it's government dialogue.
You can't deal people to people with North Korea.
Well, you have to keep trying to open the channels and find ways in there. And if it was possible for 30 international women to walk across the demilitarized zone, then it is possible for women and men to find ways in order to open the dialogue and the connection to the North Korean people.
North Korea's crimes against women, against everyone, but against women are well documented on many levels, from very serious all the way down to sort of petty crimes or sort of not being able to wear trousers or ride bicycles or drive cars. What do you think that says about the North Koreans' sort of openness to this sort of dialogue and approach?
Well, I think the fact that North Korea has been divided from the outside world by outside governments and policies, that threatening of North Korea and surrounding North Korea with more and more militarism is not the answer. That we have to engage with the North Korean people. And the more you build dialogue and peace, then the more they will open up to the outside world.
and then it will be easier to tackle issues like human rights and development. But when a country like North Korea has been cut off from the outside world and demonized by the outside world, then the sanctions against them, that makes it harder for them to be able to move forward and change. So peace, dialogue, communicating with each other, and that brings change in its own right.
Okay, so after this peace walk, what do you think the next stage is?
Well, I think that it is the North Koreans and the South Koreans have to make the peace, and we have seen that in some of the witnesses from here in South Korea and in North Korea. People have an absolute passion for peace, both. They have a connection as the Korean people. There's something very deep there. They're a family, first and foremost, and their family ties are deep. Perhaps they're even deeper, the fact that they have been separated for so long. But in the North, I was very, very struck by their passion to be united. It was very clear. And I was very struck by their love of the South Korean people and for peace. So I think that we need to open up there and engage. And in a way, the outside world has been responsible for separating this family, for geopolitics, for 70 years. Maybe there's something we need to say we're sorry about. Well, you see, I believe we have to be very careful here, because we human beings do two things to each other. We mimic what is good and we see good, but often we can demonize other people and leaderships and put blame on them, and that has been done throughout our history, and it is often done in Western politics. We've seen the demonization of Gaddafi, we've seen the demonization of Saddam Hussein, but though they had their problems, were not the cause of everything. So we have to be very careful that we don't demonize a leadership, and remember that often a leadership is loved by, if not all of the people, at least some of the people. And so we have to be very careful that we enable people to bring about change where they want change, and we respect their right to have their political leadership. We're treading a very dangerous path if we go down the path of just highlighting one or two people and feeling they hold responsibility for everything.
I understand, but in this case, the North Korean people don't really have a voice in their own governance. It is a military dictatorship, and people are not free to have opinions. So, in that particular instance, how do you propose dealing with a government that doesn't address its own citizens' concerns or fears?
Well, I think we try to make friends with the people, to help them to feel empowered, and to treat them as intelligent men and women, and give them the responsibility of choosing what their policies, what their systems, what their leadership is. We have to do that. We treat them like children. If we try to
choice, the leadership in the government doesn't actually give them any choice.
Well, the best thing that we can do for the Korean people is to enter into dialogue with them, to have connection with them, to take away the threat of violence and war and militarism and economic sanctions on them. And they're totally marginalized, isolated, demonized by the outside world. And we shouldn't do that to our brothers and sisters.
And Christine Arndt spoke about bringing this to the States to, possibly have some policy effect. Now, what now from here? I mean, I think that's a great question. One of the things that I think we could have done better in preparing for this walk was actually to do a lot more kind of behind the scenes organizing and communicating with the women of the North and South leading up to the walk. I mean, the 70-year anniversary was this year, and so in some ways we felt sort of an urgency to do something symbolic this year. But I think going forward, what we want to actually do is to do actual communicating and strategizing with the women of the North and South about what would be the best thing to do next, rather than sort of dictating. And maybe dictating is not quite the word, but as opposed to the international women taking the initiative, to actually have the North and South Korean women take the initiative. Yeah, so I think it would be maybe a lot less public of an event going forward, but sort of more communicating. Right, I think so. I mean, but like I say, I mean, we haven't had time to process everything that's happened in the last, 6-7 days, and so we ourselves just haven't had time to think about what are the next steps, what would be the best thing to do.
I think they are doing by themselves only for media stunt. It's not beneficial for North Korean people at all. Nothing. Only just giving them more. I mean, it's beneficial for the regime, 1000%, but not for ordinary people at all, because they don't know what's going on in the outside. They were completely cut off from the outside world, so they don't know what exactly this means even.
돌아다닐 수 없잖아요. 불가능하잖아요. 그런데 이분들은
마음대로 다니잖아. 그러니까
어떻게 생각하세요?
이게 너무 아이러니죠. 아이러니. 예. 평화를 말하는 분들 그 프로젝트에 진짜 평화를 위한 액션이 없는 게 우리가 안타까웠어요. 예. 그리고 평화롭지 못하게 하는 근본 원인이 뭐냐? 김정은이에요. 김정은이가 맨날 포 쏘고 미사일 쏘고 사람 막 죽이고 막 뭐 핵 쏘겠다고 막 이렇게 하고, 이게 평화를 못하게 하는 거죠. 한국에는 평화를 저해하는 요소가 아무것도 없어요. 북한 주민들에게 자유가 주어져야 돼요. 막 우리는 얼마나 자유로워요. 막 가고 싶은데 막 가고 오고 싶은데 오고 막 이러잖아요. 자유가 주어져야 되고, 북한 주민들의 인권이 보호돼야 되죠. 그거를 빼놓은 어떤 평화도 없는 거죠.
그걸 어떻게 하면
그러니까 북한 주민들은 노예예요 지금. 그렇기 때문에 저는 그 리즈 미첼이라고 하는 보니엠의 그 리드 보컬 목사님께서 하신 말씀을 저는 늘 새기고 있어요. 노예들이 400년 동안의 노예 생활에서 해방될 수 있었던 것은 노예들이 막 싸운 게 아니라 바깥에서 싸워주었기 때문에 오늘 이런 분들이 정말 평화를 위해서 김정은에게 북한 주민들에게 자유를 줘라, 북한 주민들의 인권을 보장해줘라, 북한 여성들이 자기 아들 딸 때문에 너무너무 고통스러워한다, 그러니까 그 여성들이 자기 아들 딸에게 밥이라도 좀 한 끼 먹일 수 있게 그런 기회를 줘라. 그게 평화죠. 저는 그거 원하는 거예요.
But I guess when we're trying to challenge the status quo, when we're saying that this is not okay, this is not okay for the families today that remain divided, it is not okay for our children for continuing in this militarized path. And especially the unresolved Korean War, which resides in our hearts and minds, that is the mistrust and the fear that prevent us from making that human-to-human connection. So as the International Women, I'm so honored to be able to contribute something towards breaking that division. We hope to continue on this walk, maybe Panmunjom in a few years, and this is groundbreaking. And there are going to be those that challenge us, but this is what a democracy is about. And I believe we're on the right path and on the right side of history. So thank you very much for being with me and being with us. And we will continue walking until the war is over.